Abes Oddysee. For those who challenge this game and its sequels encounter an autistic, masochistic, surreal, and unforgettable experience. For these depraved, psychologically damaged people, the taste of feces is a main life goal. I am one of these people, and I have spent a considerable amount of time in this game trying to finish it, and I have to admit, it was a struggle. I thought this game was weird and too punishing before, but now, like a soft masochist who has introduced to hardcore BDSM, I want more. Thank you, Oddworld inhabitants. If you didn't shill to Epic and destroy your latest release for that sweet Genie Piggy money, I probably would like you more. Abes Oddysee is a 2D platformer that was created in a time where having a game look appealing to children before slapping them in the face with crude humor, gore imagery, and relevant themes was not only commonplace, but expected. What I mean is that if you recognize this game, it is probably because your mother let you play it thinking it was for kids, leaving the room for a second and coming back to horrific imagery, toilet humor, and titties. Thank you, 90s video game developers. You are truly the most based of them all. You are Abe, a mentally ill, floor-waxing dredge of society who works unpaid and enslaved to a cold, unfeeling, manipulative, abusive, sociopathic CEO of a corporation which has abused their employees for years. You stumble upon a secret meeting between the evil shareholders of this corporation, and they decide, to save their public market share, to sell their interns as their next ingestible meat treats. Why destroying their free labor force that likely cannot be replicated, resupplied, or resuppressed is considered a good idea is anyone's guess. My theory is that, like all businesses, they rely entirely on the current events and barely attempt any sense of forward thinking that might save them in the future. Despite this, you're in trouble, because you can't be worried about the financial future of your place of work if you are halfway through a 300-pound mobility scooter user's gullet. This is the part where you run away. This corporation is on its way out, and you need to ensure they get off this planet at any cost. I personally want to escape not because the business is evil, or that it destroyed my home, my friends, and my culture, but because the higher-ups' business practices are downright retarded, and I want to get off this sinking ship as fast as possible. So, I might as well fuck off to my old life and go back to eating grass and berries. As expected, escaping the clutches of capitalism isn't easy, and the odds are stacked against you, so it is a good thing that you are a telepath. That's right, Abe may be retarded, but he is also Michael Clark Duncan. Except he is much shorter, and does not carry an ounce of melanin. Like most natives, Abe is skinny, slow, and incompetent at fighting anything even slightly more technologically advanced than him. So, he has to use his brain and his feet. Your weapons are not your fists, but your ability to stay out of trouble as much as possible. Abes Oddysee is a stealth game, and purely stealth. That is why it is so hard. The odds are stacked against you, and you are constantly reminded of that. Abe's body consists entirely of paper mache glued together with semen, and given the opportunity, he will explode, get shot, disintegrate, and be crushed if so much as a single mistake is made. You are about as tough as the average Antifa rioter, making any creature, from gun-wielding grunts to tiny fucking bats the size of Alex Jones's penis, are perfectly capable of dabbing on you with any chance they get. Using the environment to your advantage is recommended. What is also recommended is telepathy. You can do 3 things for your special God-given Alzheimer's. You can help fellow Mudokon soldiers escape by sending them to a pocket dimension and helping them, open a similar dimension door that takes you to different regions of the area, or by invading the minds of your enemies and forcing them to bend to your will. This last power is interesting and is really fun to use, but people don't realize they have it sometimes, which is a pain in the ass because it took me until I left the fucking packing plant to learn I had it. If you like hardcore BDSM, the Guru tag, or are a member of the Nintendo modding community, then Abes Oddysee might be able to win you over. Everything in this game kills you quicker than a Chicago resident seeing an unraped female, and to succeed you need the advantages of trial and error and planning ahead. Every problem in Abes Oddysee has a solution, and you will need to use your brain or look up a guide at every step of the way. There is no shame in learning from others' suffering. They do it for the players in the first place, and you're gonna need all the help you can get. Saying this is a tough game is an understatement. There are times where playing this game was less fun than talking about it, but knowing you beat it gives you a hit of dopamine of orgasmic quality. This game looks great, and while it might look like shit to you Kumas, the cinematics were next level back in the day, and had no equal in 1997. I loved them as a kid despite playing it a decade after its release. The game's art style still holds up and the maps are creative. The sound design is still great even after all these years, and especially in the Rapture Farms levels. The amount of immersion is great. When I'm in Rapture Farms, I really feel like I'm going to get my hand stuck in a meat grinder and put down by the meat packing Descapo. Speaking of which, The enemies in this game are the biggest obstacle between you and fulfilling the Communist Manifesto. To overthrow your overlords and escape slavery, you must kill Jeff Bezos. But between him and you is a series of depraved, sadistic, questionable design choices that will fuck you up if you underestimate them. Thank God for corporate negligence of health and safety. Sligs are the Rocha Farms SS. They have an automatic rifle and will use it. Their reflexes are slow, but their decision-making skills are slower. The only weakness you can exploit is their stupidity, and it's enough most of the time. Outsmarting them and killing them with hazards are going to be a very common form of dealing with the bastards, but another way is by possessing them. If you possess a slig, you have access to their gun and their voice box, two very useful tools to push the cards in your favour. Just be sure not to alarm them. As with real Nazis, if they catch you but can't kill you, they will kill your fellow workers in a state of panic and evidence removal. Slogs are mentally diseased, crack-addled poodles, and are the pet of choice for a slig, who matches their intellect. They eat flesh, and you are flesh. Outrunning them and tricking them into turning themselves into red mist is optimal. If you go into an area as a slig and think you've killed all the slogs in the area, you are wrong. They travel in packs and there's roughly 200 in an average doggy house. Pissing them off will prompt them to leave their orgy pile and will fuck you if they kill your possessed line of defense. Scrabs are some scary fuckers. They will chase you and kill on sight. Anything that moves dies painfully, and anything that doesn't move dies quickly. If you like your intestines where they are, then I recommend running away. Paramites are annoying. They are more bipolar than a female musician and will reduce you to a liquid in a matter of seconds if you don't take them seriously. Use Tomboy Outback meat products to lure the weeaboo scum away from you and make sure there is only one on screen, otherwise you are going to be torn into ribbons. Finally, bees and bats. Bees are fine and are only part of some puzzles, but your fellow Mudokons are people you need to save. Their goal is to die and make you play the game longer. Rescuing them is a top priority, and the amount you save links directly to your specified ending at the end of the game. They do give you superpowers, and turning Abe from a telekinetic brainlet into a demigod is a necessity to survive. I do have genuine problems with this game. Being a difficult game in the 90s, it has some bullshit. I usually like bullshit, but it took me 20 minutes to learn that bats are not just part of the aesthetic and have the capacity to one-shot you, and there is no way to tell unless you remembered its description in the game manual. The checkpoints are kind of arbitrary and I can't save scum. You would be upset at me if I was allowed to, but you try saving 2 Mukodons by being chased by a scrab and having them follow you twice, then dying before the checkpoint, forcing you to do the whole thing again. I guarantee you, at least every single stage you will grind a level for an hour, finally beat it, and die to some bullshit like a bipolar ledge, an AI glitch, or an enemy hazard not being where it's supposed to be at the very end of the level. In a game of picture-perfect jumps and undeniable difficulty, randomness is not a fun addition. For this game to be sufficiently played and recorded with less issues, I used Relive. Relive is a mod for Abes Oddysee and Exodus that replaces the entire game's files with native 1080p high-resolution display with a dedicated window mode and several bug fixes, and results in a game that isn't a nightmare to record. It's a work in progress, but it's fully functional and works to resolve the game's early issues way back in its release. The game genuinely looks great, and the cinematics are no longer appalling to look at to the point of shaving off my corneas. There are audio bugs here and there, but otherwise a well done mod. I only crashed once, twice, 3, 4 times. Okay, it isn't perfect. Despite all this, I am not a scrub, and beat the game. The bugs suck, but it's still the best version of the game, so it's okay for me. I've linked it below. The game manual and a text-based walkthrough will be linked below as well. Additionally, the game is $5 Australian, so you have no excuse. If you are as much of a Jew as I am, it goes on sale for even less. Very commonly. I don't know about you, but the experience of cock and ball torture embedded inside a 12-hour game is a pretty good deal to me, whatever the price. All in all, I enjoyed my time with Abes Oddysee. It was a horrific experience, and I'll need to go to the tri-annual Abes Oddysee Veterans Group Therapy session in order to fully recover. But it has a charm and uniqueness to it that is impossible to find anywhere else, and I'll likely look back on it with love and affection. The game was a slog, but it got easier as time went on, and I probably had the most fun with the Scrubmania and Zoo-like sections. It's worth your money despite the baggage, and I would recommend it to anyone willing to give games like it a try. More content like this is on its way, and thank you for sticking with it to the end. I'm liking this style of video, so let's do it some more. See ya.